Generalizations are not fallacies. The line between heuristic and bigotry is not always clear. We can call something bigotry if it is overwhelmingly false, that is, it is a false bias with poor predictive power. And it doesn't even need to apply to individuals. Let's say you're 10% likely to get raped as a woman walking without a burqa in Egypt over a given time frame, whatever. I'm just making up numbers. And let's say you're only 0.001% likely to get raped in the U.S. walking around without a burqa. So what does this mean for an individual Egyptian? See, what will happen is an Egyptian will go to a university in the U.S. and when he does that, he's an isolate, right? So he's not going to rape anyone. Even if he wanted to, he couldn't get away with it like he could in Egypt. Early on, when Britain was bringing in Muslims in very small numbers, they were all isolates. Okay? And so they couldn't group up and reinforce each other's beliefs. And so you didn't have a whole lot of problems early on with very small numbers of immigrants because they were isolates. Right? They were kind of unique. They were kind of one guy. There was like the one guy in the class full of brown people, and he eventually became assimilated because he was an isolate. Now, what can this guy we're talking about, why can he get away with rape in Egypt, or more likely to get away with rape in Egypt? Well, because the laws are more lax, and the judges are biased by Islam, and the burden of proof is heavier, and there is a social stigma for being raped. And so there is reinforcement for his beliefs. This is why groups and generalizations are important, because they reinforce each other. To call an understanding of this dynamic bigotry is just, it's just a thought-stopping PC buzzword. 90% of women in Egypt have their genitals mutilated. Women are required to get permission from their husbands to travel abroad. Right? They can't become judges. And there is universal agreement of there being a subjective dislike of the open behavior of Western women, and there's no doubt that women are biased much more heavily in the workplace in Muslim countries than in Western countries. The event in question that you made this video about, at least the portion that I watched, the rape of the reporter was done by the mob, right? The rape of the reporter was done by the mob, and the mob was overwhelmingly male. It was soldiers under orders and women who rescued her from the revolutionary mob. It was not free-acting male civilians who rescued her. Okay? That is important. And those dots are close enough. Don't think I need to connect them for you. AsheIsTheRaven, or AsheIsTheRaven, whatever it is. I believe your liberalism, quote, liberalism, close quote, is turning in on itself. Islam is a powerful global religion. They are big boys. Right? They control lots of oil. They're becoming less and less under the thumb of the U.S. as the U.S. begins to disintegrate. Okay? And they are not social conservatives. They are social reactionaries.